Good evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye D'Souza. This is where we give you all the news without any opinion and any drama. Getting straight to it. According to Dr. Samiran Panda, the head of epidemiology and infectious diseases in the Indian Council for Medical Research, or the ICMR, a third wave is likely to hit India by the end of August, but it's not likely to be as intense as the second wave. Now, in an interview with NDTV, Dr. Panda said that four things could likely to lead to this third wave becoming more intense. One of which is if our immunity that we have acquired from putting ourselves through first wave and second wave were to drop for whatever reason, if there is a new variant that bypasses that immunity, if we start to circulate the population again, or if restrictions are lifted prematurely. When asked if the variant, which is Delta Plus, is likely to be more dangerous, he said he's not expecting any public health havoc from either Delta or Delta Plus variant. Remember, earlier this week, the Indian Medical Association also said the third wave in India is imminent or inevitable. The Supreme Court today, while hearing a petition challenging the constitutional validity of the sedition law, expressed alarm that this law is still in force 73 years after independence and its rampant use across the country. The Chief Justice of India observed, and I'm quoting him, he said, "This dispute about the law is concerned, it's a colonial law. It was meant to suppress the freedom movement. It is the same law used by the British to silence Mahatma Gandhi and Tilak. Is it necessary 75 years after independence?" He went on to say, if we see the history of charging of this section, enormous part of this section can be compared to a carpenter being given a saw to make one item but uses it to cut the entire forest instead of one tree. That is the effect of this provision. The court has expressed its concern on the misuse of the law and this lack of accountability to executive agencies. The court was hearing the petition moved by Army veteran Major General S.G. Wombadkere, challenging the constitutionality of sedition. The court has now asked for a response from the Government of India and adjourned the matter to the 27th of July. To give you context, the sedition law is a non-bailable provision with a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, effectively for waging war against the country. Now, since 2014, there have been 400 cases of sedition that have been filed across the country. 96 of those sedition cases have been filed for criticizing political leaders and for governments, according to website Article 14. In other news, the Home Ministry on Wednesday wrote to all state and union territories asking them to instruct police stations to no longer register cases under Section 66A of the IT Act. The centre also said any case under that law should be withdrawn immediately because this law was scrapped back in 2015. Now, this is a law basically where allows police to arrest people for posting what they call offensive content online. It was scrapped by a Supreme Court landmark judgment in March of 2015. In a recent hearing, the court noticed with shock that more than 1,000 cases have been filed under this law, even after it was scrapped. To which the three-member benches of the judges said, "It is shocking, we will issue notice. Amazing, what is going on is terrible," said Justice Nariman. The judges also said that strict action will be taken against officials who are still using that law. Sister Lucy Kalapura, the nun from Kerala who protested against rape-accused Franco Mulakal and then was asked to leave the convent, pleaded her case in court by herself without her lawyer, saying, "I am a nun, this is my home, please do not throw me out onto the streets." Her lawyer withdrew his authorization to represent her, leaving her to argue her own case. Now, Sister Lucy is a nun who was expelled from her Catholic congregation because apparently she had violated some of those rules. She claimed it was because she publicly protested against the church actually backing and protecting Bishop Franco Mulakal, who was accused of rape. She moved High Court seeking police protection, saying that she was not safe. After the Vatican approved her expulsion, she sought the court to allow her to stay in the convent and grant her police protection. The High Court, however, refused to grant her protection as long as she is still in the convent and asked her to move out, saying, and I quote, "You yourself have admitted that you were ill-treated in the convent. If you continue to stay in the convent any longer, it will be detrimental to you." To which the nun basically argued that she has nowhere else to go. She is a nun and she should be allowed to stay in the convent, arguing her own case. Now, hearing a plea, the Kerala High Court bench remarked that she cannot continue to stay in the convent if she is no longer a recognized member of that congregation. The Kerala court has reserved its orders on Sister Lucy's petition. The WHO has warned that the pandemic is in early stages of a third wave across the world. On Wednesday, the head of the WHO said the Delta variant has spread along increased social mobility and inconsistent use of health measures, driving an increase both in case numbers and in deaths. Dr. Tedros has also said that the Delta variant is now in more than 111 countries, and we expect it to soon be dominant as the COVID strain circulating worldwide, if it isn't already. Remember, the WHO has also expressed concern about the fact that there are some countries in the West that have managed really to vaccinate a large number of their populations because they have access to the vaccines, whereas other countries have not managed any access at all. And so there is a massive inequality in the world in this third wave, as we're seeing right now in Africa and parts of Asia that don't have access to the vaccines. The Prime Minister, on his visit today to his constituency in Varanasi, said that Uttar Pradesh's government's handling of the second wave of COVID was unparalleled. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, Uttar Pradesh stood up and battled the virus efficiently. It is India's most populous state, but the manner in which Uttar Pradesh handled and controlled the pandemic is worthy of praise. UP's handling of the second wave of COVID-19 has been unparalleled. This comes a day after the Supreme Court issued notice to Uttar Pradesh on its decision to continue to hold the Kanwar Yatra despite warnings from medical professionals. The Uttar Pradesh government also, remember, faced widespread criticism from medical experts and opposition leaders and from the media, both domestic and all over the world, for its handling of the pandemic. The number of people who struggled to find oxygen, hospital beds, the bodies that washed up on the river, found buried on the banks of the river, among many other problems in May and June. UP government refuted reports of the deaths that were linked to the pandemic. Remember, the state of Uttar Pradesh goes to polls in February next year. The Prime Minister's visit and speech is being seen as the first poll bugle being sounded. INSAGOG, the consortium of government panel involved in genome sequencing of COVID, has said that the variants of the Delta variant, so we have a Delta variant, remember? There are now separate strains of the Delta variant. One is called AY1, which is being called Delta Plus. There's also AY2, which doesn't have a cool name yet, but it exists. Now, INSAGOG says that both of these are unlikely to be more transmissible than its parent, which is the Delta variant. INSAGOG's bulletin has said that this is primarily seen in the US, single reclassified cases, and in the UK and in India. However, there is no significant property to these new strains. They're not in any way different from the parent Delta variant, according to their research. India, meanwhile, reported 41,806 new COVID cases. Thursday's count was 3,014 more than Wednesday of new cases. Remember, we had gone down to 38,000. We're now at 41,000. Kerala has logged 13,773 cases of COVID. In Delhi, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has indicated that Delhi schools will not reopen for physical classes anytime soon. He said they cannot take a risk when it comes to children. Amidst the surge of coronavirus during the second wave, remember, Delhi had closed all schools mid-April. They have stayed closed since then. 21 COVID vaccination centers in Delhi remain shut today because of a shortage of vaccines. Delhi reported 72 new cases in the last 24 hours. The other states that are reporting shortages of vaccines, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Odisha. An update now from the world of business. According to reports, PNB scam main accused Mehul Choksi has now been sent back to Antigua from Dominica, where he was in custody. Mehul Choksi was in custody for 51 days when he alleged he had been kidnapped from Antigua by Indian agents, secret agents. Mehul Choksi was given bail by the Dominica High Court to travel back to Antigua for medical help from a neurologist based there. Mehul Choksi and Nirav Modi are the main accused in the 14,000 crore rupee PNB scam, where they basically forged letters to take large amounts of loans on forgeries that they had no intention of paying back. The RBI on Wednesday has indefinitely barred MasterCard from issuing any new debit cards or credit cards to any Indian customers starting the 22nd of July. In the notification, the RBI has said MasterCard failed to comply with its data storage rules of 2018, where basically it says that card networks, foreign card networks, have to store all Indian payments data only in India, and that the regulator should have unfettered supervisory access. While reacting to this, MasterCard has issued a statement saying that it is disappointed with the RBI's decision and it has provided regular updates on compliance to these rules. It says we will continue to work with them to provide any additional details to resolve concerns. The move, though, one must remember, does not affect any existing card users. If you have a card, it's going to continue to work just fine. Earlier, the RBI had also imposed similar restrictions on American Express and Diners Club for similar violations. News coming in right now from across the world. According to WHO, Africa is witnessing a rapid surge in COVID cases driven by the Delta variant of COVID that was first originated in India. According to the Hindustan Times, WHO's regional director of Africa has said that the continent has reported 1 million COVID cases in the last 1 month, the shortest time in which it has added 1 million cases. She went on to say that we've seen hospital admissions in 10 countries increase rapidly. At least 5 countries are facing shortages of ICU beds. Oxygen production remains the number one priority for African countries. Africa has reported 6 million COVID cases till date, and vaccination rate, like I told you earlier in the show, is extremely low. Less than 3% of the total population has been vaccinated. While warning other countries, WHO Emergency Program Head Michael Ryan has said countries opening up who have very low levels of vaccination coverage in the presence of variants is a real toxic mixture to fill your hospitals up again. Now remember, it was the Delta variant that caused the second wave of COVID in India, where we ran out of hospital beds, ran out of ICU beds, and we ran out of oxygen. It is now causing similar situations and havoc in countries like Indonesia and now in Africa. Canada has extended its ban on all flights coming from India until the 21st of July. However, Indian passengers are allowed to enter Canada if you do a 14-day layover in a third country and also produce a negative RT-PCR test. According to Canada's latest guidelines, Canada will not accept a COVID test report from India. Instead, passengers will have to produce test results from the last point of departure before they arrive in Canada. The stay in the third country needs to be at least 14 days long. In Greece, 5,000 anti-vaccine protesters took to the streets in Athens, waving Greek flags and wooden crosses to protest the country's COVID vaccination program. The protesters were heard shouting, "Take your vaccines and get out of here," demanding the resignation of their prime minister. Now, the government has made COVID vaccines mandatory for all healthcare workers and nursing home staff on Monday. 41% of Greece's citizens are fully vaccinated. A quick update on the world of sports right now. Rishabh Pant and supporting staff member of the Indian cricket team in England have tested positive for COVID. Rishabh Pant is currently in quarantine. 3 others from Team India contingent have also been isolated. The team was out of the bio bubble during their 20-day break and would be reuniting today in Durham ahead of their test series with England. According to reports, Lionel Messi is all set to sign a 5-year deal with Barcelona. Messi is of course Barcelona's all-time top scorer and appearance maker, technically ended his 21-year association with the club after his contract expired. Earlier this week, Messi also won his first international title for Argentina when they beat Brazil at the Copa America final. Good week for Messi, really. One piece of positive news before we leave you for today. Maharashtra government has announced an electric vehicle policy. This announcement was made by State Environment Minister Aditya Thackeray. Now, the state has given itself a target of 2025, which is the year, and by that year, they want to achieve this. 10% of all new vehicles that will be registered to be electric. 25% of public transport, so that's buses, will be electric, and last mile delivery, so that would be your auto rickshaws, will be electric as well by that year. 15% of state transport buses, will be electric as well. Government vehicles to go electric by April 2022. E-commerce logistic companies to transition 25% of their fleet as well. The policy also offered incentives for setting up public charging stations across the state. Of course, that's the big challenge when you buy an electric car, that there's no place to charge it anywhere on the road, which means that you can only run it for those many kilometers before you have to bring it back home and plug it in again. So putting out public charging stations would really be maybe a game changer, and also more affordable electric vehicles as well. We know in other news that Ola has announced that its electric two-wheelers will soon be open for pre-booking, and they expect that to be a game changer. So all of these things should hopefully lead to lower emissions and lower dependency on fossil fuels. That brings us to the end right now of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. It is our pleasure. If you have any questions for us or any feedback on how we can make this better, do let us know, and it would be our pleasure to improve this broadcast for you. Quick question, of course, this is a sports question. Lionel Messi is likely to sign a new deal for the next 5 years. What club is he going to sign that deal with? Leave us the answer in the comments section. I know for many of you, you won't have to refer to the news at all because you already know, but good luck with that. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.